Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be planting these blueberry bushes. I've got 6 of them. I was at Lowe's and they were a really good deal. Could not pass them up, and I love blueberries, so I got 6 of these to plant today. Now these need full sun, or at least 4 to 6 hours of good midday sun. I've got just the right spot for it, and they're also great for the southeast region of the United States. So it's perfect for my zone. I'm going to get started on planting these. I'm going to be planting these right beside our house, in between the house and the property line. It's sort of going to be like a shrub row right here for us, and this spot's perfect. It will give us close to 6, maybe 8 hours of sun in the summertime, from about 8 o'clock in the morning till maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that'll be perfect. I'll be planting these about 3 to 4 feet apart. You can check on the planter. Most of the time they'll have a tag with instructions on how many you should plant together, so that will aid in pollination, as well as how far apart they need to be from each other. So 3 to 4 feet will be really good for these plants. It will end up probably joining up a little bit, but I don't mind it being sort of a shrub row down through here. I'm going to keep them pruned and in nice shape. On the planter, it should also give you the instructions on how deep the hole needs to be, as well as how wide. So I'm going to be digging this down to the specifications on the planter. It says the depth of the pot and then twice as wide. I'll actually be going a couple inches deeper than recommended, just so that the roots at the bottom of that pot have room to grow and spread out a little bit deeper before it hits some of the harder soil around it. Now, if you don't have great soil for growing blueberry bushes, I actually posted a video on how to fix that. If you want to watch that video, I'll leave the link at the end of this one so that you guys can easily find it. I'm going to go down the line and dig all 6 holes and just place the blueberry bushes inside the hole temporarily, just so I can eyeball and make sure all of them are lined up along a straight line before I start planting them. All 6 holes are dug. Now I'm going to start mixing up a soil mixture to plant those blueberries back in the holes. The main reason why I'm doing this is because the soil I have isn't that great for growing blueberry bushes. I've already tried not prepping the ground before, and I've had a few blueberry bushes fail, so now I've done this and I've had much better success since starting this technique. I'm going to start with some sawdust, and this is just regular sawdust. You want to stay away from anything that's pressure treated. All of this sawdust is from my shop, so I've got loads of it on hand. If you don't have sawdust around, you can get some wood chips or something like that. It will do the same thing. Basically, it will absorb moisture and hold that in there really well. Also, over time, the sawdust decomposes and feeds and adds nutrients back into the soil, which will help the plant. Next, I'm going to add some peat moss, and then on top of that, some black cow fertilizer or manure, and then I'm also going to be adding in some filler in here, which is garden soil. That's just plain soil that's going to be added in. Next, I'm going to give it a quick mix just to make sure everything's spread out evenly and nothing's clumped together. This mixture works really well because of all the sawdust and peat moss in there. It absorbs and holds moisture really well. It also drains and soaks in fast, so the water doesn't beat up on the top and just run off when you try to water the bush. It'll soak right in, get down to the roots, and retain some moisture. Now, the planting part of this is actually really simple. There's not much to it. The main thing is to pay attention to the level of the pot. You don't want that to be below the ground level or above. You want it to be nice and level with it. That way the roots don't end up being exposed and you don't end up burying the plant too deep into the ground and damaging it or killing it. Another thing to keep in mind, if your plant is really root bound like all these bushes are, the pots are really small for the age of these plants, you're going to want to break those roots up a little bit. Don't be afraid of tearing the roots too much. You want to disrupt those so that they're not so tightly wound in there that they'll end up spreading out faster if you loosen that root ball up a little bit. I'll take a few more scoops and spread that around the blueberry bush, and then just pack that down in so that everything's stable and packed nice and tight. Also, you may notice the ring of soil I have around this blueberry bush. This is really to help watering as the rain falls. This is on sort of an incline. If it doesn't have this barrier here, the water will just run right off and might not have a chance to soak into the soil like I want it to. So with that ring around there, it'll add sort of a barrier to hold that in. It also helps when I'm bringing water out too. I can fill this up with water. It'll puddle up a little bit, and over a little bit of time that will soak down in, and it doesn't run off and water all the grass around it instead of the actual plant. As soon as you're done with planting, you're going to want to soak these bushes. I'm at least putting 2.5 gallons on each bush, making sure that that soil is good and saturated. It will encourage root growth and the bush to take in its new environment. So it's almost 3 o'clock now, and you can see the sun has just passed the blueberry bushes right here. So around 2:30, the sun passed that mark. So we will have a good amount of sunlight. You can see right here, the sun's right there. It comes from over there. So from around 8 to 9 o'clock until 2:30, this will have direct sun and should be perfectly fine for these. To make sure the bushes have everything they need, I've got 2 fertilizers for it to feed and start growing right away. So I've got the instant plant food that acts really quickly. You mix it with some water and water it. This natural fertilizer takes a lot longer to start working. You mix it in with the top layer of soil, and it will break down over time and feed the bush for a little bit longer period of time. After adding to the top of the soil, I'm going to give it a good mix, make sure that everything is evenly distributed across the surface of that soil, and it's not going to just run off if it rains or when I water. Everything will soak in and start working. Then I'll take the instant plant food and I'll pour a little bit on each plant. I'm not drowning these plants, just a little bit on the surface, make sure the soil's wet and will start soaking in a little bit, and then I'll move on to the next bush. Now you can see already it's been several weeks since I planted these. There's a lot of new growth. As you're shopping for blueberry bushes, there's a few things I would recommend keeping in mind. One is the size of the bush. Now these were trimmed down a little bit too late in the season, I think, and it has stunted the fruit growth for it this year. But if you look at the base of all these bushes, I tried to pick ones that you could tell were really well established. Look at the size of that one at the bottom. It's bigger than my finger. Now this really shows that it's a mature bush. It's ready to start growing some fruit. If you purchase some bushes that are a little bit cheaper and they're really tiny, they're maybe only a year old at that point. Blueberry bushes take 3 to 4 years to mature and start growing fruit, and even then it's going to be a small amount. So unless you're wanting to wait 3 to 4 years to see the first fruit off of your bush, I would recommend just spending a little bit more money and making sure you get a mature bush that's ready to go, that you'll actually see some blueberries within the next year. As I was picking these bushes out, it was actually really early in the season. There weren't any leaves exposed on the plants pretty much, but you can check and make sure that it's still a good plant. It's alive by seeing some buds already or some nodes that were starting to grow. You can see on this thicker branch up here, there aren't any branches coming off yet, but that red node right there is going to turn into a shoot. It's going to start growing and producing fruit off of that branch as well. Now you can see a few of them already have some flower buds growing. This is also a great way to make sure that you have a mature plant. If you go to the store and you see flowers like this on the bush, that is already a mature bush. It's ready to start growing blueberries, and pretty much every single one of those flowers could turn into a blueberry if it's been pollinated. Alright guys, that just about finishes up the video for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this one or found it helpful. If you did, hit that like button down below, and if you guys have any recommendations or suggestions with blueberry bushes, what has worked for you or what you would recommend, let me know down in the comment section, and that will also help other people out as they're reading those. I'm planning on doing an update video maybe next spring showing how these blueberry bushes have grown. If you're interested in that, stay tuned for that video coming up, or check out the end of this video if it's already posted, it'll be there. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not already, and go check out my channel if you're interested in more DIY videos. Thanks so much for watching guys, I'll see you in the next one.